it's Mary from Stamps-N-Lingers, and it is the 10th of August at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So that means it is time for a video. I hope y'all are having a great weekend. Hello, Renee. Hi, Rocky, and Bonnie, and Judy, and Robin. Hello. I'm going to do a quick refresh to see if it'll wake up a little bit quicker that way. I don't know why it takes it so long to switch over from waiting to she's live. Can't tell if you can see me or not, or if you can even hear me. I just don't know what it is doing. I'm going to pull this back just a little bit. There we go. I just saw it switch over. So that means I am now live. I hope that means that everybody can see and hear me. Here is our card for today. It's the one I gave you the sneak peek of this morning. It is kind of a dual card. I've got a sneak peek from the new catalog. This is the Peaceful Evergreens, and it is part of the Season of Elegance suite. So when you get your new catalog, it'll be near the front. It's actually the first suite that is showcased, and you can see it is all images. There is a coordinating set that goes with it. It's not really sure. I can't remember the name of the stamp set right this second, but it's something, and you'll see it. Yeah. Oh, Peaceful Season. There it is. Peaceful Season. Actually, I will show you that right now. This is the coordinating stamp set, and it has dies, and it has a die that, they're label dies, and it has a die that cuts out the word Christmas. So that's kind of fun. So all sentiments paired with all images, and you have a heck of a good combination. Hello, everybody. I appreciate you guys watching. All right, so we're just using the Evergreens here, and just to keep us out of Christmas completely, and because I wanted you to see that this kind of a set can be much more than just a Christmas set, I have pulled out a Happy Birthday sentiment from the Round We Go stamp set. Now this is in the current catalog, in the annual catalog, so you can get it right now. These guys you can get on the 4th of September, unless you're a demonstrator, and then you can get them now. Or you can join now and put them in your starter kit, and then buy all the rest of the goodies with your discount. Just saying. I am just throwing that out there for your consideration. Oh, and if you join now, you can put DSP in your starter kit and get it at the sale price. I can't even tell you how many win-wins that is, but it's a lot of wins. All right, so we're using Round We Go, and then I have pulled a sentiment from the this smallest die of the Nested Essentials set, also in the annual catalog. Now, straight up, I sort of stole this from the catalog. This is a case. I did use a different sentiment and a few other things a little bit different, but for the most part, I borrowed from the Stampin' Up! Demonstrators' awesome skills. Hey, Ginger, appreciate you coming. Okay, so this is another thing that I've used. This is the new Painted Trees 3D embossing folder, and it is beautiful. I love it, and you are going to love what it does to this piece of Season of Elegance DSP. So let's go ahead and get started. It's all on my blog for tomorrow, and you will see what we're going to do. Now, the very first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go off screen a few times during this one, and I'm apologizing for that, but I kind of just wanted to share a few things on how to do this. So I have a 3 3/4 inch, let me double check that, 3 3/4 by 5.5 inch piece of the Season of Elegance Specialty DSP. Now this DSP has two sides. One has gold foiling on it, and then the other has a pattern that I think looks like Venetian plaster. That's what I think it is, and it's beautiful. This one happens to be primarily in tones of basic beige. So what I am going to do, there you go, Jean, but it was a good guess. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place this in the embossing folder, and I'm trying to kind of center that largest tree, and I'm also kind of trying to make it straightish so that it doesn't look like the tree is blowing in the wind. And no, I will not sing right there. But I'm going to go off screen, and I'm going to do my, in fact, I'll just show you the sandwich just a second. So with all of your 3D embossing folders, what you want to use is the #1 plate. So it's just the basic plate, no extra shims. You're not going to use any cutting plates with this, okay? So none of the clear plates. You put your embossing folder down with the folded edge gonna go forward into the machine first, and then you use this is specialty plate. It's the gray plate, it's plate number 4, and you can buy this one separate. If you are fighting your machine and trying to make shim so that you can use the 3D embossing folders and having less than perfect results, or you're just getting really frustrated, I highly recommend that you get this plate. It's just not that expensive. You can buy it all by itself, and it will make your 3D embossing experience much happier. Hey, Mary, appreciate you coming. Hi, Lenny. So let me go ahead and emboss this, and I will be right back. I'll be back when I'm back. Also, why I'm not a songwriter, because I'm not good at it. Okay, so here we go. Now, whoop, come on out of there now. There we go. Okay, so this is already quite pretty, but I thought it would be nice to kind of accentuate the positive, as it were. Yes, plate 4 is awesome, Becky. It makes all the difference. So what I thought I would do here is I'm using my Whisper White Craft ink pad, and I am just going to drag it flat across that embossing. Okay, so I'm not pushing down, I'm just scraping it across the embossing to kind of put that white on the raised portions. Okay, now what happens with this white ink is it's going to look really strong, and then as it dries, it's going to fade. So I'm going to set it aside, and once that coat has dried just a little tiny bit, I'm going to give it another coat because I want it to kind of show. While it is drying, I'm going to get a piece of DSP, and I can already see I have not cut everything I need, but that's okay, I can get it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the largest and the smallest tree from Peaceful Evergreens, and I'm going to stamp them on this piece of basic white in Misty Moonlight ink. Okay, and them being straight is not a factor because this is going to be these are going to be die cut. How do you ink your white ink pad? I will show you in just one hot second. Hang on just a minute. All right. When you purchase the ink pad, it will come with this pad uninked, and it will also have a bottle of the re-inker. Okay, so when you get it, just open this, pretend it doesn't have any ink on it, and take your inker and just drop some drops on there. Now, you can see the consistency of that ink. Okay, it's different than all the other inks, and it's part of why it takes a bit of time to dry. So then you can take a bone folder, yep, a bone folder. That is a weird word now that I think about it. I should never think about it. Don't overthink words. Or you can use an old credit card or an old gift card, and then you just kind of scrape it in, okay? You're really just pushing the ink down into the pad. All right, did that answer the question? Let me know if it did. And then don't forget to clean this off, because I would get ink on everything. And that is actually the same exact way that you re-ink any of the ink pads, okay? Droplets, and then scrape it in. Pretty easy stuff, and that makes it very handy. So I highly recommend that you always have on hand the re-inker for all of your ink pads so that you're ready to go. And you can re-ink when you go tap, 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 and nothing happens. All right, one more time, I'm going to go off screen, and I'm going to use the dies in the Peaceful Evergreen set to cut these 2 trees out. I shall return. You can absolutely use a plastic spoon. Anything that works to push that ink down into the pad. All right. So I'm just lining these up, and we'll get them cut out, and then it'll be time to ink our white again, and then we'll do a sentiment, and by the time we get that done, everything will be dry and ready to assemble. All right, so that's the first one cut. And now I will cut the second one. I promise I'm almost back to you. Well, I'll tell you what, it is still humid as it can be here, but at least we don't have a hurricane, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I hope everybody is safe where they are. Okay. So now I have, there you go, tongue depressors work just as well. It's really anything that has a flat edge will help you push that in. Okay, so let me put these back on. And set this aside. Okay, so that's ready to go. I'm going to do my second coat, if you will, because you can see it's kind of disappeared, and I kind of like it, so I'm going to let it get let it get a little more ink on it. But you saw how thick it was, and that's why it takes an extra second or two to dry. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to set it aside. And while it is drying its second coat, hey Robin, appreciate you coming. I hope you are safe up there in Delaware. All right, now, you could do this two ways. You could stamp and emboss this and then let it cool and cut it out, but I decided I would try to kind of shorten the process here. So I went ahead and cut out one of these already. I'm going to use my embossing buddy, and then I'm going to stamp the sentiment from Round We Go in Versamark ink, right as best in the middle of that as I can get. That's why I cut out two, just in case I didn't do it. What are those blobby images in the stamp set? You mean these? This? I believe that's just going to be a way to kind of put some painterly looking ground, swaths of ground, or you could probably do it in white embossing maybe make some snow. I'm not real sure, but I'm certain that's what that is. That's going to be snow or grass. So, you know, if you think about it, this doesn't have to be just for winter scenes. This could be a summer scene, which means it could be a ground in, you know, the browns or the greens, things like that. Okay. So it's just a scene builder set, really. All right. So let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment. Okay. And I'm going to try to make it straight. There's really nothing more embarrassing to do on camera. I mean, there's a lot of embarrassing things to do on camera. Like if I burped right now, that would be embarrassing. But more embarrassing and more craft related is stamping a photopolymer image crooked. Just saying. All right, now you do have a few seconds. Actually, you've got more than a few seconds. You've got several seconds, because that's the point of using Versamark. Like the craft ink, it's a little extra sticky and it takes a little time to dry. And I'm going to close this up. You can see how it looks there. Just a note to self, it does help to close up whatever you're using to hold your embossing powder before you get your heat tool out. Just throwing that out there, okay? Alrighty, now I'm going to use this to hold this down, and I'm going to make it loud. And you can watch it start to change. So just hold your heat tool still. I have it on the number 2 setting, which is the high setting. You can use the low setting to just dry ink, or, well, really just to dry ink. But you can see once the tool starts to get hot, it changes the way that sentiment looks. So it goes from dull to shiny. And when it's all shiny, just double check that it's all shiny. It's all shiny. And so you're done. Now, here's a little tip. And for those of you who've heard it before, I'm sorry. But until this embossing powder has cooled, it's a little bit smeary. So don't be like, ooh, that's so cool, and rub your finger over it, because you won't like how it works. Okay, just saying. All right, so now let's go ahead and assemble our card. I have a pecan pie card base. It was 4 1/4 by 11, and I cut it at didn't cut it. I scored it at 5 1/2 and folded it in half. And so what I'm going to do here, I'm just double checking. See, I've still got some wet ink, so let me pull that tool back out. And I'm going to put it on low and just use that to kind of dry that ink up a little bit quicker. Now, in the real world, and if I wasn't in a hurry, I would probably just let this set aside and maybe, you know, go make lunch or something and come back, or go get a snack and come back. But since you don't want to sit here while we do that, I'll just go ahead. I know, right, Cecilia? It is just the funnest, and it's one of the things that draws so many of us into crafting. It's that magical thing, and you just never know how cool it is until you've done it. Okay, so let's see what we got. We've still got some white. I must have gotten a little heavy. That's okay. You know what I'm going to do? Watch what I'm going to do here, because I'm impatient and in a bit of a hurry. I'm just going to lay that there and just kind of wipe it. There's still plenty of ink. It's just, I think probably because I just re-inked the pad. There we go. That'll be fine. Okay. All right, let's put our heat tool away and put that away. I want you guys to think I'm tidy. And then I'm going to get my liquid glue out. You know what, Rocky? It just does take a little practice. If you'll make sure you have an embossing buddy so that you can put that on, what that does is it reduces the risk of having stray embossing powder. And stray embossing powder is the one thing that scares us people. Also, remember, it's just cardstock and paper. So practice it on cardstock that you don't, I don't want to say don't care about, but like don't do the first time on a piece of DSP or something that is a little more difficult. And if you ruin it and it doesn't work out, then you're like, dang it, I didn't like that and I'm very annoyed with myself. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to turn it over and give it a little rub. Little rub, a dub, a dub, a dub, little rub, a dub, a dub, a dub. And I'm going to double check that I have nothing showing there. And there is a little tiny bit, but I'm not going to get head up about that. Okay, I'm just not going to do it. Can't make me. Now, I'm going to pull out my dimensionales. And what we're going to do here is we are going to put these guys on with dimensionals like that. Okay, so I'll put them on here. Oop, I got an edge piece. I hate working edge pieces until I absolutely have to, because I have to cut them. And that annoys me, because, you know, talk about a first world problem. What bothered you today? Well, I had to cut the edges of my dimensionals. It was a nightmare. All right. I know. That's okay, princess. You're fine, Mary. All right. Yes, I was talking to myself. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're going to put him right about there. And then this guy is going to go right here. So I'm just going to put some dimensionals along that edge. All right. Yep, I absolutely, that's a good idea, is to practice on printer paper. Just know that the printer paper is going to act a little weird because it's not really stout enough to handle the heat of the heat tool. So it's going to warp a little bit, like doing it on DSP wood or on some of the thinner cardstocks. But it's certainly a valid way to practice. What I do is, because I keep scraps of my cardstock, I would just find a scrap that is the size of what you're trying to emboss and use that scrap. That's what I would do. That's how I did it. All right. Yep, you are correct, Bonnie. It is fun to watch, even if you have to do it 12 times. Sometimes that's a good excuse to watch it 12 times. Let me close that up. All right, so I put a little liquid glue on that side, and I've got my dimensionals on that side, and I'm just going to put this right here like so. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little bit of Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to get it started. I go right there, and with some very vanilla baker's twine from the Baker's Twine Essentials. I'm just gonna make like a loop-de-loop at about, oh, I'm gonna go about 3 times around like that. And what I want to do is I want it to adhere about like that. I'm gonna make my strip a little bit longer, my Stampin' Seal strip. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna just adhere it, not in a figure 8. It's just loops. Okay, just loops like that. And I will find my scissors and cut that off like that. All right, and then just kind of push it down, make it do what you want it to do there. And I kind of don't want the tail so much out. Now, where did you go? There it is. Jeez. You know, the thing about it is the neater my desk, the less likely I am to be able to find anything. I don't know why that is exactly. Okay, so I've got my loops, and I'm pretty happy with how those look. They look purposefully messed up. Alrighty? 12 times. Yes, absolutely. The more, the better. All right. Now, I'm going to take some more dimensionals, not off of that strip, because it's a done. It's a done. Here we go. I will add some dimensionals, and you don't need to do doubles here, because those loops of twine are not nearly thick enough to need that. And then this little guy is going to go just like that. All right, so now I'll take off my lids and I think this would be a good masculine card, don't you? I think this would be a great card, birthday card for a guy. Perfect. Perfecto. Cecilia, you're welcome. You are going to want this set, I promise. And yes, I know we have other tree, but let me show you something while that's, I'm going to say while that's drying, but it's a total lie because it's completely not drying. But look, set aside there. These cool trees stamp or die cut these images. And look how that would look if it was in Misty Moonlight. It really doesn't work with Misty Moonlight stamped and Pretty Peacock. But if you'd stamped that tree in Pretty Peacock and then cut this out from Pretty Peacock cardstock and layered that on, I would probably do it with pieces of dimensional, but that's just because dimensionals are my first thing that I always go to. It's perfect. And there is one of these for each of the sizes. So you can do all sorts of layering. The other thing that this die set has that's cool, hang on, let me put this back, is this right here, which if you run a piece of cardstock through, when it comes out, this cardstock is going to have all these holes in it, okay? So imagine, if you will, a world in which you did that on a piece of pool party cardstock and then layered it with dimensionals or otherwise over a piece of white cardstock. You would have that white look showing through like that, and you would have a blizzard on your card front. Boom. Lovely. In fact, that may be one of the next things that I do with this set because I really want to play with that a lot. All right, so now that I have, tempted you into that, let me put that away, and we'll finish this off with a few adhesive backed textured dots, and the card front will be done. I'm going to use a big one right here and a small one by it, and then up near this area, in this area, I will use a large one, and that's all I'm doing on the card front. Okay, so for the inside, the innards, and I'll do my envelope at the same time because I'm so efficient. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Missy. I was born and raised in California, so I can talk like a Valley girl, and that just shows how old I am because I don't think Valley girl is a thing anymore, but I can totally do it. But just so you know, I moved away before Valley Girl became a thing, so I am like appropriating Valley Girl. Okay, so I'm going to take my large tree, and I have just a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 cardstock, and I find it helps me sometimes to turn it sideways because then I can hold it with both hands easier. And I'm just going to stamp it right here. And I kind of want it to be straight, and it will be once I turn it. See how that worked out? It just makes it easier because of the size of this block. Now, if you still have young, strong hands and can do like that and get it straight, then do it the way that makes it the easiest for you. But this is what makes it the easiest for me. So while I have it out, I'm also going to do the front of my basic white medium envelope. And then I'm going to take the small tree again. I know. I almost have it. It's the southern accent with the valley is a little bit interesting, right? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to take this small one and stamp it right there like that. And then I'll do the same for the inside of the card. Oh, Faith, you know you did. Everybody did. No. Everybody of a certain generation did. I think that was like the 80s, wasn't it? I feel pretty sure it was the 80s where the Valley Girl thing. And wasn't that the same time that big bangs happened for Texas? Kind of all in the same time. So you talked like a Valley Girl, and then you also had parachute pants, and they were so cool. And maybe some leg warmers. I'm not sure. Yeah. All right. So now now I'm going to make a very loud noise on my table. Alrighty, I'm going to adhere this to the inside of that card base with a little bit of liquid glue. Remember, don't get carried away with the liquid glue. It is not Elmer's. You don't need a ton. Okay, so there we go. And that is all I'm doing. I'm not going to put a sentiment in here. I'm just doing that like that. And then I will add to my envelope flap. Oh, that was the piece I did not cut. Hang on just a second. I knew that I'd forgot. I knew I would forget something. So let me get a piece cut. And I'm just using the same DSP pattern that I used on the card front. A little bit of liquid glue around the edges of the envelope flap. Can I point out that there really was no fussy cutting or really anything hard about this card at all? So this is a super easy and quick and really, I think it's really pretty. Those designers really made a pretty card. So don't ever forget to use the samples in the catalogs. They give you a lot of samples, which give you a lot of design ideas. And if you see a picture of a suite where they've made multiple cards with the same suite, take an idea from one card and then another idea from another card and then put it together on your own card. So you can find some techniques and ideas from all the samples and either use them straight up the way they are or make it into your own by combining them. Okay, so I was so busy being a Valley Girl. Do you see the problem? What a dork. Yes, it is. Well, okay. So, the only thing more embarrassing than burping or stamping a photopolymer sentiment crooked is doing your envelope upside down. So, look, it's perfect. It's just right. I don't know why you guys are saying it's upside down. There you go, everybody. I hope you will put Peaceful Evergreens on your list. You can get this on the 2nd of September or now as a demonstrator or now as a joining demonstrator. So you have a great rest of your weekend. Okay, Karen, you can get it in November. I'll keep it aside for your birthday. Y'all have a great rest of your weekend. Stay safe, and I will see you next Thursday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern for another video. Thanks, guys. See ya. Ta.